Following a successful road trip, the Dallas Stars fall at home to the Montreal Canadiens 3-1 as the home power play struggles continue. But the Stars must regroup quickly ahead of a busy weekend stretch.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. After a lengthy road trip and return home, the Dallas Stars fall short to the Montreal Canadiens by a final score of 3-1. The power play goes 0 for 4 as the power play at the American Airlines Center continues to leave much to be desired. We'll break down all of this one on a Friday edition of Locked On Stars, and then we'll do a quick preview of this weekend's action as the Stars have a back-to-back on Saturday and Sunday. Thank you for joining me. Be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're almost at 3,500 subscribers. If you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Go ahead and join the community. Let's dive right in to the Stars' 3-1 loss at the hands of the Montreal Canadiens. I'll say this off the top. I thought Dallas deserved at least a point in this game. I thought they really persevered in a tough spot for the Dallas Stars. And I thought what we discussed coming in to tonight's game on yesterday's edition of Locked On Stars pretty much came to fruition. Dallas had a really rough start. They had to work in Matej Blumel and Justin Ruskovian once again. No Roope Hintz, who is day-to-day. So you're missing your number one center. You really needed to rely on your netminder, Jake Oettinger, who gave up a goal in the first period. But other than that, was pretty lights out for you, especially in the first 20. I mean, the Canadiens had grade A after grade A look in the slot against Oettinger in that first period. The Stars really struggled to find their defensive footing. They looked lost in the D zone for a large part of that first period. Pete DeBoer switched up the pairings a bit, and I think that woke up the minds and legs of Miro and Lyubushkin. Miro was slotted in with Lindell for a bit. We saw Lyubushkin and Dumba, Harley and Lundqvist, and they were much more responsible in their own end, and I thought it helped their offense a bit too. I thought Dallas had the better looks in the final two periods of the two teams. Jakub Dobes was huge for Montreal in between the pipes. He made a couple of large stops in the game. In that third period, specifically, the one stop he had on Blumel was a tart save off the blocker. I thought Blumel was going to bury it, and somehow Dobes got over. He ended up with the best game score on the night at 2.38. The expected goals against was 3.28 for the Dallas Stars. Make it 3.38. The Stars outchanced the Canadiens at 5-on-5, 28-18. High danger chances were 12-7 in favor of the Stars. This was a night, though, where they really needed the power play to cash in. They did get a goal from Robertson, which was huge, off a pretty nothing shot from Dadonov. Rebound, Robertson throws it in the back of the net, and we discussed this yesterday. Without Roope Hintz, Stars need their big guns to come to play, and I thought Jason Robertson had a fantastic game. The beat goes on for him as he was able to slam dunk one home, and then after that, the Stars just, they weren't clean enough. They were a bit sloppy with some of their play. They did a good job of grinding down Montreal in the offensive zone and extending some shifts, getting out against weak, tired players, but really couldn't turn that into looks at Dobes, especially in that third period. Just not a lot of quality in front of Dobes. Even with the extra attacker, they weren't funneling enough pucks on net, which was unfortunate because they had the better of play. They ended up outshooting Montreal 33-24 in the game, outshot them 11-4 in the third period, but there wasn't a ton of traffic and chaos in front of Dobis. On the flip side, Montreal wins an offensive zone draw. They get traffic. Hudson throws it towards the net, and Newhook redirects it past Oettinger, who had no idea where it was. He was trying to peer over a guy in front and unable to spot it, and it went right between the legs and bounced in to the empty net. So Dallas falls, but I thought they played pretty well for the circumstances. We expected them to be a bit slow footing into the game and sort of have to find their rhythm as the game went along. And as the game wore on, they had the puck for the majority of the second and third period. They were making things happen, and the power play really needed to step up tonight, and it failed them again. They go 0 for 4. It's just a trend that continues at the American Airlines Center for some odd reason. Give credit to Montreal. They blocked a lot of shots. They ended up with 23 blocked shots on the night. They had some big boys on the back end that played huge minutes and played really well. Matheson, Hudson had a good game. Carrier, those three had huge nights. They were physical. They made it tough on Dallas, and the Stars just weren't able to execute on some of those looks they had. And credit to Dobis too, who just made some timely saves for Montreal. Otter was brilliant in the first period. They didn't need him to be too big the rest of the way. It was just another solid goalie duel between Montreal and Dallas once again. We saw this just a week prior at the Bell Center, and we got it again. Another low-scoring affair. Montreal adds the empty net late from Armia, and credit to the Canadiens for coming in and picking up a very solid, grinded out sort of road win. And I thought Dallas would have to play that sort of style of game, and I thought they matched up to it. I thought Ritskovia and Blumel, along with Blackwell, had a really, really solid night. Blumel ended up with 4 shots on goal on the night. He was really noticeable for Dallas, which is a good sign if he's going to be up here for a bit playing. Ritskovia had a nice night. Robertson with 4 shots. Harley had a decent night defensively, ended up with 3 shots. Heiskanen with 4, right? Lindell had a shot and 5 blocks. Like, I thought the big boys that the Stars needed to play well did. It was just sloppy in front of the pond, really, to some degree. Just unable to find that final shot past a netminder, and they did a lot on their forecheck. I thought they were physical. They retrieved pucks well, especially along the wall. They did fairly well at holding pucks in, and Montreal helped them out in some cases, but really just could not funnel enough chaos towards Dobis. I think they would have liked to take the eyes away from him a bit more, even on the power play, where the first 2 looks they had on the man advantage were dangerous. Again, just can't find the final pill or the final execution on some of their looks. So it was a tough shot or tough game, right? Where you come back after a long, 10, 12-day road trip, and you're playing a team that's coming in with good form, and Montreal just did enough to stay in the game. I thought they played it pretty much a textbook road game where they stayed in it, got scored on first, but responded immediately. Like, how many times is that going to happen to the Stars? The following shift, they have to have the most goals scored against them the following 2 shifts after a goal. It almost happens automatically, especially at home for Dallas. It's like, can you hold on to a lead for more than 30 seconds after you were sort of swimming in the first, 5 minutes or so, and then boom, you get one, and you're like, okay, like, we may not deserve this lead, but we have it. So let's hold on and buckle down. And it just wasn't the case as Montreal hit 3 posts in the first period too. It was looking like maybe Otter was going to have an off night, but I thought he sort of buttoned down the hatches. Otter, after the game, said we had a bunch of chances all night, just needed one more to go our way. And I think that's a perfect summary of how the night went for Dallas. And, a tough battle and turnover in front of their blue line led to the first Stars goal as Caulfield just laid it across for Slafkovsky. It was just too easy for two talented guys. And Dobis was the difference maker on some, but I think the Stars were their own enemy on some of their looks too in a 3-1 loss to the Montreal Canadiens. Thought they deserved better. I said going in, if they could pick up a point, it would be huge. Just felt like a game where it wasn't going to be easy, and it certainly wasn't. And maybe they did deserve a point out of it, but yeah, you play a lot of games in 82 in an 82 game pain where you don't get anything out of contests you deserve, and you get some out of ones you certainly do not. And I think it was the latter here this evening against the Habs. So a 3-1 loss on home ice. Stars have to regroup quickly as they get on the road to take on Colorado on Saturday and then Detroit back at home on Sunday. But first, let's break down some of the power play struggles for Dallas at home that continue to be a thorn in the side of the Stars. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300. Keep the action going. The divisional round is here this weekend. A lot of great matchups, and the FanDuel app is so easy to navigate. And the variety of bets keeps the game very exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings, whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs. FanDuel has you covered. Download the FanDuel app, play that first $5 bet, and you can get $300 in bonus bets. Visit FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel app to join today. Get started with $300 in bonus bets. It's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. The Stars power play goes 0 for 4 tonight against a good kill for Montreal. Let's make that abundantly clear. The Canadiens have a top 10 penalty kill and have been much better in that department this season than they were a year ago. But Dallas looked very, very formidable and dangerous on the first two opportunities they had. I thought they've done a much better job here recently of working below the dots. I've called for that a ton. They're starting to go to it and starting to get into those soft areas in the slot. We see Johnston and Robertson hang out there with Ben below the goal line, along with Duchesne trying to feed it in front. And Dallas has capitalized on some of those looks. It didn't come to fruition tonight. I thought the Canadiens had some good sticks and broke up some good chances, along with Dobis, who were able to nudge a puck out of reach of a star at the last moment, or at least make the pass a bit wobbly, and it just wouldn't settle cleanly. But I thought the Stars had some nice looks on their first two man advantages. I'm curious what the shots on goal were on their power plays. Dallas ended up with 3 shots in total on the power play, but the last 2 opportunities were pretty porous. They won 60% of their draws on the man advantage, which helped them with their puck possession, of course, and allowing them to get some looks off against Dobis. Look, they didn't score, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt to some degree. It looks much better. There's quicker there's quicker reactions and not stick handle, not holding on to the puck too long, like on your stick, knowing where you're going with it, moving it quickly, getting it to the open guy and not fiddling with the puck. And that's leading to some really good looks. But the power play has been atrocious. They're last in the NHL. They're last place at 10.5% at home. 10.5. They are 32nd in the NHL behind Anaheim and the Islanders and the Bruins. And unfortunately, it comes in a night where you knew you were going to struggle to find the back of the net a bit with the injuries in place. And the power play was going to be so important. And again, the Stars are not able to bail themselves out. And Robertson hit the post early. It's just it's the same conversation over again, unfortunately, where we sit here and it's like, yeah, if you score there, you probably get to overtime. You probably get a point out of it. And you'll fall flat again in a spot that you really needed it to bail you out. Like 10.5%. It's awful. It's just so awful. And the power play's been decent. It was actually pretty great on the 5-game road trip. They scored a couple in the game against New York, and I want to say they had one in a few other games against Philadelphia and I believe Toronto too. Just, I don't know, for whatever reason at home, there seems to be a lack of finish in their game, but it looks much better. My disappointment and critiques of their power play are a lot different now than they were, let's say, a month and a half ago. It's for different reasons now, because there was points where they just weren't even getting looks. The last power play they had, when they had the mini 5-on-3 and then the full 2 minutes on the 5-on-4, was just awful, and they struggled on their entries. And again, the Habs deserve credit. They shut down the play along the wall, forced Dallas, kept them to the outside, and the Stars just could not put 2 and 2 passes together in that opportunity. Would like to see them get a few more shots the way of Dobis on the power play. Looking at the event summary, it looks like they only had 3 in the entire 4 opportunities they have. So just not good enough. Not good enough, and it just wasn't enough offense for Dallas and run support for Jake Oettinger in a game that you needed it. The power play has to figure itself out. It will be the death of the Stars in the postseason if this continues, and we're going to be infuriated. Right now, it's January, so we can be sort of calm about this discussion. But if special teams, especially at home, does not start to bear down, Dallas is going to have an early exit. That's why it matters. That's why it matters. Not in a Thursday night against Montreal in January. But special teams will be so big, so big in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And if you play a team like Winnipeg or Minnesota and they're beating you in the special teams department, you're going to get bounced rather quickly. And you don't have some of your weapons, right? You're missing Marchment. You're missing Roope Hintz, which really hurt. But even when they've been here, Seguin too, included in that, Stars have had an awful home power play. I hope we don't run into this same issue in April and Dallas has home ice and again they go down 2-0, or again they lose game 1 at the AAC and you're playing catch up again, it's just a hard way to live. It's a hard way to live, and the power play has to start doing favors for you, especially when you trail, when you're down by a couple, and it can be the spark. And Dallas had a few opportunities in a tie hockey game to get themselves a lead at home, put the pressure on Montreal, and just could not find a way to bear down. On the flip side, PK was great. 3 for 3, no issues there. And that's been a redundancy this entire season. So keep that up. But let's get the power play going at the American Airlines Center. Stars fans need something to be excited about at home. They need to be lifted out of their chairs when Dallas has the extra attacker. They need that. And the boys couldn't provide it last night, and they haven't provided enough of it throughout the season. 10.5%. 10.5%. Last in the NHL. Got to get fixed. Got to get fixed. Okay. Enough with the disappointments. Let's take a peek at the Colorado Avalanche and a busy weekend stretch ahead for the Dallas Stars. We'll do that in just a moment. The Dallas Stars took down the Colorado Avalanche in the first meeting at the end of November by a final score of 5-3. And Colorado has been much better as of late. They're coming in on some form. I don't believe their game has ended tonight. It's 3-3 against the Oilers as they approach second intermission. So we'll see what the conclusion is of that game. But they're coming in on some form. They trailed Dallas by a few points, but the Stars still do have some games in hand. It's sort of the same story for Colorado, but since that last game, Colorado has made some moves. They went out and got Mackenzie Blackwood, and they went out and got Scott Wedgwood. Since Alexander Georgiev had an awful campaign to begin the season, they tried to give him some leash as much as they could, but they got into too big of a hole, so they get rid of him, and they acquire Mackenzie Blackwood and Wedgwood, who have been very, very solid for Colorado since their arrival. Blackwood's 15, 11, and 4, 2.49 goals against average, and 920 save percentage. So net minding has been a sight for sore eyes for them, and they're starting to get that. So Wedgwood has sort of returned to himself. He didn't have a great start in Nashville, but who really did with the way the Predators have played this season. And Colorado's been uncharacteristically, bad in some areas too, or underwhelming, I would say, than where you would expect them to be. Like the power play hasn't been lights out this season for the Avs. They're 17%. I mean, much better than Dallas, albeit, PK's at 16th. So they're not good there. They're awful on the dots. They're 31st in the league, and they're giving up much more than they have in years past. They're a team that's dealt with a lot of injuries too. I mean, they've lost a lot of man games this season, so they've had to bring up quite a few AHL players to fill in. They're not getting a ton from some of their depth pieces, like Duran's having a tough go. Actually, he's having a really good start since he returned from injury. He's got 10 points in 12 games, but haven't been able to rely on a ton of their depth. It's sort of been, the McKinnon show and Makar, which is not a huge surprise. Middlestad got off to a great start, but has been really, really on the struggle bus, minus 16. He's got 26 points in 45 games. Rantanen and McKinnon are just lighting up the world, which is to be expected. So it's a pretty top-heavy team that I'm sure Dallas is looking to grind out and roll 4 lines against and just wear down and hopefully get up early on Colorado. They've had to use a plethora of defensemen too, with some injuries there. Their back end especially isn't very good in my opinion. Girard, Makar, and Taves are fantastic. Manson, who plays 18 minutes a night, is good, but after that, I think there is some damage to be done for Dallas, especially at 5-on-5 if Dallas is able to use their team speed. So I'm intrigued to see how Dallas goes about their business. They're pretty similar teams at even strength this season. And with Dallas out a couple of their big bodies, it makes for a pretty top-heavy matchup. Like whose superstars are going to come and try to make an impact in this one is how I sort of foresee this one going. And Dallas has a quick turnaround on Sunday against a Detroit team that's, again, coming in on pretty good form. They just took down Florida tonight by a final score of 5-2. It's a team that's gotten a boost after firing their head coach. So it's a couple of good teams Dallas is running into. They get Detroit on a back-to-back as well. So there really isn't a real advantage there. I'm wondering if Dallas goes with the Smith on Saturday and you get Otter at home, my hunch says they go with Otter against the division rival because those 2 points will be massive in terms of the standings. If Colorado finds a way to pull it out tonight, they will be tied with Dallas, and the Stars will still have 2 games in hand. So I would suspect DeBoer goes with Otter against the Central Division opponent, and then you can roll with DeSmith on Sunday night against the Red Wings. But it's another important weekend. I could say that about every game moving forward. I feel like each game just seems massive at this point in the season, all the way until the Four Nations face-off, where hopefully guys like Marchment and Roope Hintz will be healthy. I think Marchment probably needs a week or two. The earliest is probably the last week of January. Roope Hintz, I don't know. I would guess earliest next week too, just based off his history and being listed as day-to-day. That usually means week-to-week, I feel like. And week-to-week feels more like month-to-month with the Stars designation. So it's a slog right now. And the Stars are going to have to find a way to push through, and they just got to get enough offense. They have to find a way to score. Defensively, I think it's just part of their identity. They're going to be a stingy team. Can they score enough is the big question for the Stars moving forward without some of their offensive weapons available. So can you get enough run support? And you're playing 2 teams that have players like DeBrincat, Larkin, McKinnon, and Rantanen. It'll be a chore. It'll be a chore, but an opportunity to get 4 points and feel massive about yourself and continuing a good stretch of play. Like don't return after a really nice road trip and sort of crap the bed, so to speak. This is an opportunity to win some games and continue to play the way they have. And if they go about their business like they did tonight against Montreal, I think they'll be just fine against the Abs and Red Wings on the weekend. So that will do it on a Thursday/Friday edition. This will go up on Friday of Locked On Stars. Thank you as always, for the love and support. I'll be able to put out an episode maybe late Sunday night, possibly hold on to it for Monday. I'll just record straight after the game on Sunday against Detroit. We'll see when I decide to put that up. Maybe let me know in the comments if you have a feeling on that. But anyways, I'll be back next Monday. Enjoy your weekend of Dallas Stars hockey. Get some sun. Enjoy the weather. I'll be a busy boy running around. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop a review if you're listening to audio only and all that good stuff. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. So long, Stars fans.